So my colleague Tristan Lee should be on in a moment, but I wanted to extend a warm welcome to everyone. I'll drop my camera here in a second. But as Ron stated, right, I am a firm believer in Chromebook. So I have my personal Chrome. You can see that there. I've got my personal Mac that I'm presenting on now. I've got my work Mac over here. So yes, we are all in with regard to this virtualization, work from home, et cetera, et cetera. So thank you all for the time today. And now I'll turn off my webcam here. So with regard to Google, as mentioned, right, Tristan and I, we came from another hyperscaler. So we have been in the cloud space a considerably long time. So we feel that we are comfortable, we know what we're doing, and we know just how this industry works. But when you think of VDI or VDAS or whatever you want to call working from home, virtual desktops in the cloud, et cetera, all of these things matter. They're super important to your business and they are critically important to our business. So I wanted to make sure I shared that. In my tenure here, probably the first 6 months or so, these were the only conversations we were having around what does it mean to have a VDI in the environment? How can you help our customers do specific things? What can we focus on? So VDI was extremely real when it came to Google and how we could help our customers. It was interesting to note all of the different categorized wins and then how we would collapse our infrastructure with our partners, and then more importantly, how we can make this be succinct with regard to your business as a customer. So the way our business is broken down and then built back up, we heavily rely on our partners to make sure that we can do business with you and for you as well. So that is no different with our VDI strategy. And if you kind of layer on our VDI, you got to start with some of our basics. And our basics are our network. This is one of the secret sauces behind our business. We've got a pretty healthy network that I know and love from my time from Cisco, even into a hyperscaler, even into now Google here. So why is this important? The more intrinsic your network can be, the larger the network can be, the more private you can make this network, the easier it is for you to trust and eliminate a lot of the latency that will come from putting virtual machines and other things that could be latent sensitive on the wire and across your platform. If you do this in a Google variety and then you use our points of presence and our dedicated infrastructure and then our private fiber that goes across the oceans, this is no different, and this is extremely important to make sure you can be successful. So for the record, Google does not directly have its own VDI strategy. However, we heavily rely on these partners to do some really volume-based business and to make sure that you can have flexibility and, more importantly, choice when it comes to selecting a partner for your business. What I've loved over the last, I'll say 8-9 months, is that many of these partners here, I've had a chance to put my hands on them and I love them all. I'll just say that openly and bluntly. Now, thinking about each of them individually, they have their specialties. And if you are already using one of these preferred partners, then great, you've seen some of their best and brightest. And if needed, obviously you can give some credence to looking at some of the other partners. But when you layer these partners on our infrastructure, then this is how we feel you can have a compelling event. And then you also have a tactical and maybe even a strategic advantage for your business. So Itopia, Workspace, Citrix, VMware, and when you look at Frame, all these different providers have something that really makes their solution special. So why do I share this? Well, what's nice is that kind of thinking about this solution in its entirety here, Itopia specifically, when we're looking at our marketplace, when we're consumed and we're looking at how the differentiations can take place across their business, they specialize in certain images that really make things simple. Workspace, I just worked with them probably a month or so ago. When you're doing anything with Windows-based clients, especially Windows 10, it makes it really succinct and easy to put this in the environment, and then the list just goes on and on. So one of the things I did want to share, one of the clients that I was working with, we were in a bake-off with these providers here. Two of them end up surfacing to the top, and obviously we were competing with other hyperscaler home-based solutions. But what happened to make this really short and sweet, they end up finding that one of these providers here were able to put something on paper that had not been done before. They were able to customize a solution. They were able to flatten out the pricing. And then they were able to do the infamous drag race that you would expect as a client to find out how the solution could really help their business. So if you do have something customized, we want to make sure that we can use our infrastructure. What happens when we layer these providers out there, and I just want to start sharing you a couple architectures here. We start to use our plumbing, we start to use our infrastructure, we use our virtual machines, and we go to the marketplace just like you have with other providers. And then we focus on how we can differentiate with either our machine learning, or we can layer in things around our querying tools for the warehouse. And then you see a sample of how this can be baked out with regard to our compute engine. So we do this again and again and again to make sure that you have that nice look and feel, that cloud native experience and exposure to our platform, but using our partner solution. This is important because as you start looking at some of the other offerings out there and kind of focusing in on WorkSpot here, they too have their own control plane. They come across our VPCs. They make sure that we can stretch this globally if needed, and then they can layer in some of our software-defined networking that happens across an SD-WAN environment, and then they make this management portal look pretty straightforward to you. Now, as you start looking at Citrix, and again, right, I love Citrix as well, worked with them for many, many years, we start looking at how they can manage their fleets and do the same thing that we just talked about in the previous two architectures. So as we start thinking about why Google and how Google can assist and help, then this is where our ability to take global load balancers, take global VPCs, be able to use our querying tools, look at our analytics. You can extract a lot of these provider solutions, their infrastructure out, and then you'll be able to pull some of the goodness that they have in their solutions forward to your business. And then VMware, again, no different, right? We've launched more than a year ago our cloud platform partnership with VMware, our compute engine. This gives you, again, the chance to use Horizon to be able to take and do things that natively can run on Horizon 7 and stretch that up to ESXi clusters, and then just start hosting solutions out from there and just go again and again and again. So the last thing, and Frame has some really good things that are in place there, because start looking at their gateway and comparing how they do their production pools around VMs, and then they put brokers in place. All of this is just to make sure that you have different radiuses where you can control an isolation zone to get from your private environment that's on-premise out to the public cloud, whether that's with us or AWS or even Azure. So in that environment, right, we can take sandboxes, we start doing things that matter around TLS security, around HTTPS as well, and then we can make those really succinct in the business. So why is this important? When you focus on their brokers, when you look at all the things that Nutanix has brought to the market over the course of time, you look at their cloud connectors, and then you put that in our environment, speed matters, is what I will end up saying. Whether you're coming over a VPN tunnel or whether you want to do this across an interconnect so that you have some dedicated connectivity, all these things will allow your VMs, your virtual machines, to power up quicker than what you may expect from some other solutions. So I wanted to give a quick pause there and maybe find out if there are any specific questions before I kind of get into the Chrome and the work from home aspect of things.
All right, let me take a look here, Wayne, and let's see what kind of questions. Nothing right now. I think everyone's taking it in. So why don't you go through the demo and showcase this, and then hopefully we'll get some more queries. Remember, I'll pay $10 a question.
Yeah, awesome. So again, right, I want to show the team here that I have my own Chromebooks. Chrome is something that I live with. I test. I've got my touch screen. I can flip it back, right? This is real. So at Google, we do definitely use Chrome. And we have Chromebooks, Pixelbooks to make sure that we live and preach what we practice and teach at the same time. So thinking about Chrome in its entirety and how we use it to work from home, if you have not seen how massive and how structured Chrome is, I encourage you to take a look at some of the YouTube videos that are out there around Chrome and what really makes it elaborate for your business. the inherent security that's baked in, how Chrome can work along with our VDI strategies with our partners, and then also on our platform, and how we connect and how we secure and then make all of the things around our workspaces, aka formerly G Suite. These are important pillars to share what makes Chrome work and what works well with work from home, and how we do lots of backup, and how our hardware has some really cool things inside of it. We talk about all of our devices as endpoints. As the team here that's on today, those that are still remaining, Google has a lot of services, a lot of products that have billions of users. And this is critically important because as we start thinking about how much hardware we produce, all of the chips that we focus on, it really lends credence to why we can give you an end-to-end solution, and why this workspace environment is so important. So you take Chrome OS, you take what we can produce in the Android world on some platforms that you may have in the mobile space, you look at the enterprise offerings, and then you put all of these collaborations together, then this is why our work from home strategy is super important. I know Tristan is on now, and Tristan, feel free to comment or take over if you like, my friend. But just sharing a couple of things on why it's so important with Chrome.
You're doing great, Wayne. Thank you so much. Yeah, I just wanted to point out also, you wanted to have that end-to-end solution, right? In the previous slide, Wayne kind of mentioned to you guys about, how the legacy endpoints don't really support the new ways of working, because each product that you got, people, customers purchase today, they all, they do one thing or the other thing. They don't really do everything together, right? So if you look at in the next slides, is that you wanted to have an end-to-end solution from the hardware, right, that Wayne kind of showed you already, the Chromebook itself, and then to Chrome OS, right, the operating system that actually runs within the Chromebook, and then to the Chrome browser, the actual web browser that everybody lives and die for, right, and then to the applications that runs within the browser, for example, the G Suite or the Workspace, right? So this ties that complete end-to-end solution for your cloud worker in IT. So you have complete control, enterprise control, and security control over the hardware and the software that actually would give you that security endpoints and updates all in one place in a single pane of glass to provide that end-to-end solution. And yeah, so Wayne kind of mentioned about that Chromebook, right, already. We use it internally as well. We use the Pixels. So Chromebook, you probably have seen a lot of educational, the schools, they use Chromebooks a lot because they're more lightweight and they're single purpose made, right? And also a lot of times they're very cost effective. So if you look at the device for any use cases, right, you can get at the top of the end the Pixel books that we have, right, that's actually used for office workers, or you can have some of the use cases, customers are using it for ruggedized, for the frontline workers. So really depending on where your remote workers are at, right, you can actually have different type of Chromebooks that actually targeted specific to that use case. Next slide, please. So when you wanted to protect your remote workers, right, you don't want to hinder their productivity, right? You also don't want to add administrative cost. So adding those security keys that Wayne had mentioned about, right, the Titan keys, I don't know if you guys have heard about them. They're actually built into all of our servers, custom built chips that, is FIPS 140-2 and -3 compliant, where you can actually have these second factor authentication so that your remote workers will be able to plug it in and use that. It's funny fact, I don't know, Wayne, if you have mentioned to the team or not, we don't use VPN here at Google. We use the security keys, and that's pretty much it. They will allow us to log on to the internal networks directly because they are publicly available, but through the the end-to-end solutions that were kind of painted for you, the Chrome browser and all of those things, be able to lock down those security controls that if you don't have the keys, you will not be able to access those content, even though they're publicly available. And also using Workspace, right? The data loss, all of those things that preventions, it can actually stop data exfiltration where everything is online. You can lock it down to say that this document is read-only. You can't copy and paste from the document. You cannot make it. You can't make a copy of it. So that helps a lot with the data exfiltration that a lot of times that the enterprises and the customers are concerned about, right? Having these devices that's actually in the remote locations. And then security is updated automatically. Again, that gives you that single pane of glass where you can actually do all of this. That doesn't create administrative overhead to update different things in different consoles. So if you look at the Chrome OS, as I mentioned about, right, it's very easy, fast and secure, really easy to manage. It is built from ground up for enterprises that will give you the speed, the simplicity, and the security built into the hardware, baked in with the protection that I kind of mentioned about, right? And also you'll be able to use seamlessly with other users that will be able to collaborate with them. Now, when you look at the Chrome Enterprise, that really is the additional addition that you can actually have that knowledge worker that require most collaborative freedom to perform their jobs, right? So from a productivity perspective, but also having that control, the centralized control that you can manage the entire fleet of your Chrome devices, right? Having that control, this multi-layer security that all of the enterprise grades, enterprise that requires from, hardware chips that we mentioned about and app sandboxes that we're going, you can actually add, and also the 24/7 support. So that kind of ties into, everything that you need to actually make sure that the device itself is actually protected, as well as the content that's protected, but it doesn't hinder your remote workers' productivity. And then another thing that is really important, right? Remote workers, they may not always bring a Chromebook with them. So you want to make sure that all of the bookmarks, the applications, the preferences that will work across the devices. Maybe they're using Android devices, right? Those type of things that, all of those settings are actually saved within the Chrome browser or Chrome device that they can actually carry over across devices. So if you look at the enterprise apps, right, you can also leverage Google Play, which is one of the service that Wayne had mentioned about. Has over 1 billion users that are actually using this. So you rest assured that you can continue to use the application that is from well-known application store, right? Google Play. Next slide, please. So this is where you can also test and isolate the managed applications, right? Having that sandbox limits, so you can limit down the attack surface, right? And you can also enforce access policies and secure the multiple, different ecosystems between them. Now, obviously, you can also access, Windows applications through VDI with all of the solutions that Wayne had kind of presented to you earlier, right? There's no problem. Everything should work just seamlessly here. And the leading browser, right? The Chrome browser, obviously, you can actually have customized policy. You can have safe browsing to protect, right? And also have the you can launch applications directly from the Docker and also other, PWAs. So everything is within your fingertips. Now, when we talk about collaboration, we also talked about Workspace, where everybody uses Gmail and Office files, in Google Drives, and also Google Sheets, as you see here. All of these things are online, where and you can work offline as well. But everything that's actually centralized, where you can have that centralized control and security in place. So what we're really saying here is that, you wanted to have that multi-layer security approach, right? Especially with the working from home, remote workers, with the pandemic, working from home is really becoming the fact of life, right? All of the companies are starting to offer working from home. And also, for a company who offer working from home, you have a better worker, they're happier, and also you can actually expand your talent pool, right? Not just locally, you can actually extend it to outer cities and those type of things. So you can attract more talent that way. So how do you actually make sure that you give them the capabilities that they will be able to work from home or work remote, but also make sure that your data is well protected? And this is how we recommend the customer approach through this multi-layer security approach, all the way from hardware to software to firmware to operating systems and to collaboration tools such as Workspace. So when we combine Chrome Enterprise and Workspace, you would have that end-to-end solutions that we mentioned about that really is unbeatable across your collaboration tools and endpoints. So you have a peace of mind, right, with multi-layer security, and also really mention, that you want to minimize the administrative overhead cost. So you wanted to have, have a leaner IT management, and then consistent experience for your end user as well, so that they can actually use across different devices, the preferences are being saved and carried over through different devices. So that is what we view as the secure, and also the collaboration that is seamless to your remote workers. And with that said, thank you guys very much for your time, and you can learn more about the VDI that we talked about today, as well as Chrome Enterprise. Wayne, anything you want to add there?
Yeah, I was just gonna add one last thing there, and I'll kill my slide share there. So it's funny because our tenure here, Tristan, I think we both have agreed that we weren't really big Chrome users and using Gmail and all that good stuff. But since coming here and going through a lot of the training, and our Workspace offering has a lot of depth to it, whether you want to incorporate it into a Chromebook. I even do a lot of things. I'm running my personal Mac, and inside of my personal Mac, I'm using Parallels to do my Windows-based stuff, and I have a bunch of Google things running inside of it. So the collaboration tools, to be able to work from home, VDI, I've got that running on my other machine over here. It's just some really cool things that are out there. And we just encourage you as an individual or an organization to check things out.
All right, that was great stuff. We've got a number of questions. Let me just get to these. I'm just curious if you've either Wayne or Tristan for Andy at Glide Construction, do you have any insights on or any customers of yours who take advantage of this technology, especially when you've got construction sites that need ruggedized environments where you don't necessarily want to have expensive endpoints get damaged? Any comments on that?
Definitely. I'm working with, so both Tristan and I, we're in Florida, but I do a lot of work with a team in New York. And we literally just had something like this take place last week. One of the big things that they were focused on is they've got this warehousing, very similar to the construction world, no endpoints, don't want to do anything IoT. They were trying to find the cheapest thing off the shelf and then layer in the technology to find out if they could save money, get rid of these expensive little things called devices and laptops and stuff like that. They went thin clients, end up saving quite a bit of money. So, and I've had probably 10 of those conversations in the last 3 to 6 months.
Awesome. Yeah, I just want to add a little bit more color to that as well. I'm actually working with 2 construction companies located in the East Coast, and enterprise customers. That's why I cover. And one of the things that we proposed to the customer was that leveraging Workspace, leveraging the Google Chrome, and leveraging just everything that Google has to offer, right? Maps. And there's a really cool tool called AppSheet. I strongly encourage everybody to take a look at it. It's a no code. You don't need to have a programming background, or you don't actually see the code at all to actually code in very simple applications. So we're trying to help the customer to build a very simple workplace safety app using AppSheet and using the Google calendars. They're all integrated together, really easy to do, where you can actually pop up the location on a Google Map that you can actually integrate that into the application itself. and it automatically sets up appointments onto the calendar. It's just really, really easy to use, and it didn't take a very long time to build that at all.
All right, good stuff. One other question, Nora, with Montefiore, the big healthcare hospital system here in New York. I was wondering if you could comment, with so much going to virtualized endpoints, how do you go about selling a Chromebook as a hardware solution when hardware is seemingly becoming less and less important? And maybe you could comment on how some of your clients look at that decision-making process.
Yeah, price per device has always been the leading conversation that I know we've run into, but more so we've been trying to throw that out, because you can go buy a device and build a relationship with whomever provider you want to go with, and then determine what's going to be best for your business, and then you structure a deal. But at the end of the day, what we've been trying to find out are what are the synergies that happen to look at your business requirements and then map that back to the actual component need that might be out there, and then to see if we can basically lock horns together. In that discussion, and Tristan kind of commented on some of the products, so I'll just remove the product conversation here in marketing play, but we've been able to find some tools that company A and also company B have been able to use and that they needed, and then wrapping that around the cost of the goods and the devices to wrap the hardware around it. They've been able to match things up to where it was a good fit for their business. Now, that's to say that this has not happened every single time. You're going to have some shops that just prefer to use device A or company A or product A versus B. But in these examples, when we've been able to pull or peel the onion back and have that discussion, and then really look at what the hard requirements are, and then remove a lot of the guts of said things, aka the Chromebook, that is not needed, then it makes for a good business model and allows us to get other products in place that the client might need.